Chapter 1. Life. I am honored to introduce Travell. He was born at 31 weeks. Although counted out in the womb, let's follow his triumphant prevail as detailed by his mother. Deuteronomy 31 and 6. Be strong and of a good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, he is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. King James Version. Deuteronomy 31 and 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you, nor forsake you. New International Version. It all started when I was 17 weeks pregnant. I went in for a regular appointment, and they couldn't find the baby's heartbeat. So the doctor sent me for an emergency ultrasound. In the ultrasound room, it scared me because I had a previous miscarriage. Months before, and the same thing happened. Went in for my 12-week ultrasound and found the baby with no heartbeat. But when they finally pulled my baby up on the screen and I saw the heart beating, I felt completely overjoyed. The doctor said, "Would you like to know what you're having?" I said, "Of course." He said, "You're having a boy." To myself, I said, "Hello, Travell James Smith." What should have been a quick and routine anatomy scan changed. Quickly, the anatomy scan turns into an hour and a half ultrasound. When the doctor finished, he said, "It doesn't look good. There's something wrong with the baby's kidneys and the blood flow in the cord is not good." After this, it was like a nightmare. A few weeks later, I had to have an amniocentesis performed, which was uncomfortable. My obstetrician said I had until 21 weeks to decide if I wanted to medically terminate my pregnancy. There was no way I could do that to my baby after I already saw him, named him, and knew he was a boy. The amniotic fluid came back normal. I declined to stop the pregnancy and I started to see a geneticist and high-risk OB. At 21 weeks, I started to dilate. By this time, I was seeing 2 or 3 different doctors. With the doctors, I saw specialists. I scheduled to see the doctors at least once a week for a regular OB appointment or ultrasound. The appointments were to check the baby and my cervix. It was also discovered that my baby had severe IUGR and was not growing right. Every time I went to the doctor, they would tell me that my baby was going to die any day now, and he would be stillborn. At first, it would break my heart to continue to hear the doctors say my baby would die any day. But after a while, it didn't bother me much because he would prove them wrong every week. I made it to 31 weeks and 2 days, where I went into preterm labor, got to the hospital at 8 a.m., where I was 4 centimeters dilated and completely effaced. The doctors on call actually gave me the option to have a vaginal birth, even though he was breech and was having fetal distress. But I knew what was best and decided on the C-section. The doctors did an emergency C-section, and at 10:03 a.m. on July 29, 2010, Travell was born, weighing in at 1 pound and 4 ounces, and was 10 3/4 inches long. One journey was over, and another was about to begin. He was in the NICU for 6.5 months. To make a long story short, he had 3 surgeries while he was there. The first surgery was at 2 weeks old to close a valve in his heart. I didn't get to hold him until he was 2 months old. He was on a ventilator and had many IVs and blood transfusions. Travell suffered a collapsed lung a few times. He has even had pneumonia twice. The second time was one of the scariest events of my life. He went through cold blue episodes, or would be near death every 20 to 30 minutes for about 2 days straight. The doctor came to me and said that there was nothing else they could do for him. I remember sitting there, looking over at him, moving his little arm. I remember saying to them, "Look at him. He still has life in him." With tears in my eyes, I said to them, "As long as I see life in my baby, I'm going to fight with him and for him." After that, they left, and it was time for God to show up and show out. And he did. As soon as I made the decision to trust 100% in God and not 80% like I had been, Travell started to get better. We found out that he had a condition called tracheomalacia, where his airway would collapse. I made the decision to give him a tracheostomy, or a trach. A doctor told me even if he gets the trach, he still might not make it, or it would be 4 months before he got out the NICU. My baby got his trach at 4.5 months. After receiving his trach, 3 weeks later, he moved out of the NICU to a regular floor. After living on the regular floor for 1.5 months, he came home on Valentine's Day, 2011. He came home with a trach, ventilator, oxygen, feeding pump, and nurses. I was excited to continue as his nurse. 3 months after being home, I was able to care for him without the requirement of outside nursing staff. Altogether, he has had about 9 surgeries. Doctors said it would be at least 2 years before he got his trach out and would end up in the hospital many times for trach infections. But once again, he proved them wrong. He was never hospitalized for anything dealing with the trach and was no longer in need of the vent about 8 months after coming home. His trach was removed 4 days before his 2nd birthday. Altogether, he had his trach for 19 months. Today, he is a happy, normal 3-year-old boy. He still has his feeding tube to help with nutrients, but that's it. He goes to preschool, is quite smart, outgoing, and sweet. While all this was happening, I was only 20 years old and just turned 21 years old toward the end of this process. I was a young, single mother, but I had the support of my family, and best of all, my God. I finished school in May of 2012 with my Bachelor's of Science in Business Administration. I couldn't have done it, any of it, without God. Words of encouragement. Never give up or put your trust in man. God is the best doctor, lawyer, friend, anything you need him to be. He said he will never leave you nor forsake you, and he meant it. Chantella Smith, mother of the modern day miracle, Travell Smith. Deuteronomy 31:6. Be strong and of good courage. Fear not, nor be afraid of them. For the Lord thy God, he is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. King James Version. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. New International Version. Prayer of faith. I feel today, yet I know you are with me, Lord. I believe you will be with me always. You care for me, you support me, and cause me to succeed and pass this test. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity to prosper, thrive, and flourish in this situation. You are with me. Declaration of the day. I am strong in you, Lord. I am peaceful and excited to see your blessings today. Thank you for allowing me to succeed. That was Chapter 1 from Purpose in Pain by Tomesha Walker. Find more details at purposeinpainbook.com. Thank you, and may your life be empowered, enriched, and may you grow with each opportunity presented. Be blessed.